I mentioned before, this the invoices you have seen previously has been pretty different and a lot of different tasks. It's a good idea to see that video in order to get some idea of how many different things needs to be done. But uh, right after I've made that, yeah, it's a couple of hours ago. I now have 53 invoices awaiting handling, and I just wanted to show you that even though this is perhaps frightening that it says 53 needs to be handled, very often it is like this that if you fix one, you fix them all. As you can see in the file name here, they are pretty identical. So just to give you an idea of how fast you can actually fix this, um, if you see here, I have from Cafe Bloggers Apotek. It's a cafe, and you can see they are all from Inco Copenhagen, and they are causing some kind of error. So what I'm gonna do is go into the invoice. I can see that it's complaining that it cannot verify the invoice date. It says 1st of December. So what I'm gonna do is go to the parser by clicking here in the generator. And I'm gonna replace this invoice inside the template so I can see that it is not generating correctly. And as you can see here, the invoice date, it's not catching the first part of this December part. So what I'm gonna do is you can basically see that the search box is not long enough to encompass the long word December. So basically, all I need to do is, this is too high, this value, so all I do is change this to the 9th. Probably can do the same thing for due date, so the error doesn't occur for this one. And now I have correct invoice date taken out. By the way, you can change how this, as you can see, this is a full text. It says the 30th of December. It's full text, and you have different options for the month here. So you can say like, this is day, month, year, year, month, day, year, and yeah, some other options. You can also extract the amount of days. Well, it's actually when you have due date. If the due date when it needs to be paid is, for instance, like 10 days after the invoice date, you can choose this option plus n days, and you can basically just use the filter function to extract the number 10 or 14 or how many days it is, and it will take the invoice date and add that number. So that's another one. But what we're looking at here is actually full text date. In that case, we have spelled month out fully. So it's day, month, year, or month, day, year. So you can actually have also that starts December 15th, 2016. So, okay, that's just a short notice. So what we do is basically click this save. And now if I take all those invoices, it says invoice. I also spot here that there's a credit note. Probably some of the same problem. Yeah, it says invoice number could not, or the validate invoice number length. So the number of the invoice is not recognized. You can see it's missing here. And also you can see that the date is not correct. So again, I go into the generator. I replace the original file of the generator with this one that I'm examining. And, oh, I just made a mistake, but that's good. It's recorded. Look, it's going into invoice, and that's not good. Even though it's a credit note that we're looking at, it's going into invoice. So we need to make sure to recognize this. It needs to go into the credit note. Here you can see the list of the templates. I have one invoice, I have one credit note, I have another invoice here. So we need to figure out why it's not being recognized by the credit note here. So what I can do is basically let's see, go back with the file. Now what I should do to show you how I handle this is I start here from my list. I take the credit note, and as you can see, it says invoice, and it should be credit note. I click on the generator. So now I'm going into the generator, and I am removing this part up here. Actually, yeah. So I'm just removing this part. So now I go to where I create these things. You have seen this picture before. And what I do is basically load up this Inco here, and I will get this with the blue one. The blue one is the invoice, or sorry, is the credit note. And if I click on go, I will go to the invoice with this template here. And I can see I'm looking for the word credit note in order to recognize this, and this is not being recognized, probably because it's not being recognized at all. So I'm going to replace the file for this credit note. And now it's mentioning that it actually matches another parser. This little green dot here, that actually shows you if this template that you're on, if that matches the document you have currently loaded. And this tells you that it matches parser 3782, so you can see that it actually matches the invoice up here. So what we should do is first make sure that this it is not recognized by this. So we could make sure that I take the word credit note here, click on the invoice. Now it will open this invoice. I can see into it what it says like this. I think this is the one we edited just before because you can see that it has the credit note from before. And I'm saying it should match the word Faktura la 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 la, but it should not match this credit note here. So in this way, apparently the credit note, it also matches on this. So on the credit note, it apparently says Faktura. As you can see, it actually has the word Faktura on the credit note. So normally it's enough to have Faktura to match invoice and credit note to match credit notes. But and sometimes you have to explicitly tell it that on this invoice it should not recognize credit note. Okay. So now I have saved this, and we should go back to the one I'm examining. This is the credit note I'm examining, and I'm taking this to the credit note part. Oh, it's loading in another tab. And I'm replacing it here. And now you can see that the file I'm examining, the credit note, it's no longer being matched by the 3782 invoice. Okay, so if I go back and I want to test this on a credit note, I can just mark the credit note like this and then run import, and it will reapply it. If I actually want to see it, because if this works, it will just disappear from the list. But I can also actually manually, meaning rerun import, I can see the result. So if I click rerun import, it will rerun the import of this credit note or invoice, but it will stay on the page so I can see the result. So you can see I say rerun import. Okay, and it comes out with errors. It says error saving invoice could not verify some blah blah blah. Okay, so what I'm doing is I go into the invoice. I can now see that it's correctly selecting credit note, but I can see that it has thrown some errors, that the sum including that is bad and blah blah blah. So apparently it's not extracting the including that. I can see the total here 0, so it's not extracting the including that correctly. So I go back to the parser. I'm going to replace it with my file here. And as you can see, it says the sum including that is using the word, but it is extracting not a value, but the .moms, .vat. So it's actually taking this section up here and getting this out here. So probably what they've done is they have added this excluding that and including that since we created this, so it's no longer recognizing it correctly. And that's why we have these detections that does this. So what I should just do is like add this section so it doesn't take the first part up here that matches, but takes the second part down here. So if I just until this puts INKL, it should actually match this. It will probably add this mumps, so I should probably give it a lead of around, I don't know, 40 pixels. And now I can see that it's extracting 456.24 correctly, and you can see the lead that I gave it makes it start out here. Okay, so now I have all the information, as you can see, invoice number, invoice date, then the numbers, the figures, and yeah, that's all that's needed for a credit note. So now I should be able to rerun the credit notes. So let's take the credit notes. Those are the three here. Credit note, credit note, credit note, run. Yep, and it disappeared from the page, so that's fine. I can now try. We also started out by by updating the template for the invoice. So what we can do here is basically mark these invoices also. Whoops. And run the import on this. Okay, probably another new error. No, it's complaining about invoice date 22nd of December. Okay, let's check this one out. And we're gonna replace the file. Yeah, it's another case of this. It's probably, as you can see, we have two invoice templates. The first one was the one that we changed just a minute ago, and this one is another one. The other one said something like including VAT or something like that up here for the recognitions. This one says fakturabeløb or invoice amount. So this is recognized in another way. So apparently this Inco has two templates that it's using. And as we probably created the second one here based on the first one, we have the same problem that the lead is way too large. So we are not getting the 22 part of the December. So basically just going to change this to 10. Do that for the same for the due date. And yeah, we should be all set now, I think. Great. Go back to the overview. And let's run this Faktura, 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 Faktura. Still problems. Hmm. Now it cannot validate the invoice number length. So now it's another error. So let's go and check why. We do a check. This number here, this is 11. It verifies that the number of the invoice number has the correct length. Now I'm going to replace the template's original file here with this one that has an error. And you can see that it has 10. So we basically just need to add 10 here as another option. So we do it with comma. So normally it will keep within within the same numbers, but of course if they have like 3 digits, they will very quickly run into 4 digits and so on. So often we just have to update the numbers. Okay, so let's try it again with these 4 and run import. And voila, it's gone. Okay, so to give you another example is to make a template with these. This is a lot of the same files as well, and I can show you how quickly it is to do it when you know when you're experienced with it. So this is a new one. So it says Srini. I know it's not there. Strini Tires, AS, company type. And I'm gonna make it recognized. Very often I use the email address to make it recognized by it. Could also use the registration number, which is this, or as this is also recognition of the credit number here. So, but it needs to be recognized the same way, exact same way that it is in as in the text. So I'm gonna open to get the text behind it, and I can see. Let's just take the credit number. It has a plus. Since we have, if just taking like 8 digits like this, will probably start matching. It's not big enough to basically, you can use an IBAN number, which is often very big. It's like 16 or 20 digits. Taking this one will give you false recognition when you're getting invoices from other places. So remember that we need the plus in front of it. So what I do is inside these regular expression brackets, I'm gonna make a plus. Plus needs to be escaped. It's one of the special characters. Plus and dots and a few other slashes needs to be escaped. So now it knows to recognize Strini tires, and we say that this is invoice type. And again, I'm using this Faktura capital letters. It will be a good way to recognize this one. Faktura. Okay. So now I'm onto the template. As you can see, it's nice and green, so it indicates that this is a template, or this template is recognized by this one, or would be matched if it was imported with this parser. And I start out by running an auto-analyze. And the auto-analyze really nicely identifies. I can see that it inserts this. The number 6 will be inserted later on in this, or I can insert it here. I have an invoice date, which looks correctly. I have a due date, which I need. I can see that the due date is actually, the word for the due date is actually recognized here. It says betalingsdate, or payment date. But it needs to be not to the right of it, but it needs to be below it, as you can see. So I'm just gonna change this to, instead of get text right off, to get text below. And yes, I need to save that because the balance sheet will be reset when I've done it. So here you can see now that the payment date has a box that's searching underneath it. It's not reaching it. So what I'm gonna do is this. I'm not gonna apply any filter to it. I'm going to say that I will expect that it should have up to 10 pixels as a white space before it should be considered a new word. I will move the box like 20 pixels to the left. So this is the left side of the box. I'm putting it minus 20 pixels. I'm also gonna, to give it a little room, give it 20 pixels to the right. And as you can see, it's not reaching the bottom, so it's not getting the stuff. So I'm also going to go with minus 10 pixels to the bottom of the box. So let's see if it captures the date now. And you can see it does that nicely. It now catches this in here. So yeah. What else we need to get? The delivery address, the CVR number. I need to confirm that it is the providing company's CVR number, and I can see it's taken over here from the text up. Well, from the text up here, and it has extracted. This is the FI number. This is the payment type that's very often used in Denmark. So it has like plus and then 2 digits, then less than, and then 15 digits, and then plus, and then 8 digits. This is a payment type. This is a unique, this is the invoice ID, you could say, or this is what the receiver of the payment can identify the payment from. And this is the creditor number, or this is the receiving party's ID. So that's why you can use that for recognition that this is Strini. And basically when I check this, just make sure to see that the plus 71 is correctly. I don't take these and check them number by number. I just check that the 2 last ones, or 3 last ones, like 937 looks correct. 802, 802, that is correct. Okay. So that is how you verify the fee number. You actually don't need, this is the most precise number. The bank information, the bank account number is the second one. In this case, it has matched it badly. I'm guessing that it's actually getting some of its numbers, which are from this section here. I can see it ends on 802. It's probably not correct. As I said, the Danish bank account looks like this up here. So it has like 4 digits and a dash, and then between 6 and 10 digits afterwards. So what it should actually do is this. In this case, I'm going to say that look for the word Danish bank or Danske Bank and take the values that is down below. So I'm gonna write Danske Bank. And that should give me the bank account that is right below it. And you can see it nicely takes this 4 digits dash and then the rest of the digits that comes from up here. That's all we need to do. If you have a lot of invoices, just to make a check that this one is nice and works, I'm gonna rerun this manually. So just do like rerun import. And if this goes nicely, and you can see it did, it says import OK. I can even click here if I want to go and see the invoice, what it looks like. But now I have a lot of them, and there's actually a link here, and you can basically just say rerun files with the errors, and we'll try to re-import all the invoices here and give you a status. So let's see if I run this, and it should actually take a good chunk of all of these invoices, because they are probably from the same provider, a lot of these. It's gonna take a little while. And you can see we started out, and even though we have matched some, we are still we're still getting new templates in as we speak here. So okay, it's still loading. Takes a while. That's probably what. Okay, so you can see all these invoices now have been imported with a success. So we're down to 29, even though we have received quite a lot while we've been doing this.